What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Taurean Reloaded channel. If you are new, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button and be sure to hit that bell and have your notifications set to all so you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video or go live. Also, be sure to like, comment, and share this content on the various social media platforms. So today, well, as you can see on your screen, many of you will pretty much already know what this is. This is the poster for the movie Bring It On, and it's crazy to believe that this movie came out in 2000. It's been 22 years since this movie came out, and it's crazy what that is. You know what that how fast time just flies by. But I remember when this movie first came out, and I remember it was a lot of girls in particular who were cheerleaders who were really hyping this movie up, whether they were on a elementary school level, middle school, especially a high school level, considering that this was in a high school setting. But you know, me being at that age and me being a boy, I didn't think anything of it. And it was like, okay, whatever. You know, it had Kirsten Dunst, it had Gabrielle Union. It had two of the members of that group Black in there. I think, I know this is one, I think that's Natina Reed, God rest her soul, because, you know, she passed away a few years ago, I think in a car accident. And I think that's another one right there. It had Eliza Dushku, who is this woman right here. And it's like, it is what it is. But I didn't watch the movie until a little bit later on when I was probably a teenager myself. Because when this movie came out, I was, I think, 11 or about to turn 11. Because in 2000, I was in elementary school getting ready to go to middle school. So if it was before May 4th, I was 10. If it was after, I was 11. So we'll just put it like that. But I didn't think nothing of it until I watched it a little bit later. And I said, this movie isn't just about cheerleading. This is something way more deeper, but they use cheerleading as the launch pad to get people to watch it. But when you watch it, it's something way deeper than that. And that's because the movie Bring It On at its core is about cultural appropriation. Now, I feel like I shouldn't have to go into a whole diatribe about what cultural appropriation is or whatever the case may be. But on my Twitter account, I had posted a tweet asking, does anyone know what the movie Bring It On was really about? Some people got it, but a lot of people, believe it or not, especially a lot of Black people, did not get it, or they put answers of responses of ones that I wasn't looking for. And I didn't want to tell them what the response was or what the answer was. I said, just go watch the movie again and you'll find out, because it pretty much actually kind of tells you what the movie is about. They just don't blatantly say it's cultural appropriation, but that's what it is at its core. That's really what the movie is about, but it's masked with cheerleading. That's just that's just what they use as a disguise to get people to watch it, because no one would just go watch a movie just about cultural appropriation. I mean, they probably would, but let's make it with cheerleaders and have it be in that way. And then when I first saw the poster years ago, I always wondered, why did they have the white girls on one side and the Black girls on the other in there? But I said, oh, they're in two different schools. But I said, it has to be something behind it, but I didn't think nothing of it. And then when I watched the movie, I said, nah, I see why they made the poster the way that they did. Now, I'm using this as I guess you can say as a starter to what I really wanted to talk about, because I just wanted to use this as a focal point. Well, not a focal point, but as a launching point for what I really wanted to discuss. And that's this right here. Now, I'm not going to play the video because it's most likely copyrighted, because it is coming from Beauty Insider, which is a verified account, and it's a verified company. Well, it's an extension of Insider, which of course is a verified company. And I don't want to worry about no copyrights or whatever. But this popped up on my timeline because someone reposted it. And you have this barber right here whose name is Diego Elizares. His name is right here. And that's his picture right there in the corner. And it says Diego Elizares is a barber and hairstylist in Los Angeles. He is known for being a master of 3D fades. His most famous hairstyle is the quote unquote highborn. And right here at the top of this caption right here, it says this barber has become infamous for creating this hairstyle. Watch how he does it. Now, that wasn't a good choice of words at all, but using infamous definitely wasn't, because I don't know why people misuse that word infamous, because infamous and famous have two different meanings. Famous means good. Infamous means bad. So they pretty much literally are telling us something right there just by using the word infamous, but people commonly and way too often misuse that word. But the reason why I'm talking about this is because while I saw some of the designs that this guy was cutting into people's heads and they do look nice, he did not create this style. Let's be completely honest with ourselves here. These styles have been around since at least the 80s. Well, definitely the 80s, because I don't think people was cutting designs of people's head back in the 70s. Everyone was rocking an afro. But I would say more so in the late 80s when the fades became popular, and then black men wanted to start, getting a little bit extracurricular. I always tell black people are such an extracurricular activity, especially black Americans, because we are. And it is what it is. And they decided to start cutting designs into people's heads. Fun fact, the reason why the Gumby became so popular was mainly because of Bobby Brown, not even the Gumby character itself. And how that happened is, and I believe Bobby Brown has said this, he was just getting a regular fade cut and the barber had messed up his fade. And then they said, you know what? I'm going to fix it. Instead of cutting it all off, I'm going to cut a design into it and it's going to look like the Gumby character. And then from then on, the Gumby became a popular hairstyle amongst a lot of black men thanks to Bobby Brown. And the first time you saw it was when he did the Every Little Step I Take video. So that's a design right there. And I think that was really starting at the beginning of a lot of black men starting to cut designs in their hair. As a matter of fact, if you went to barbershops back in the day, which I'm sure every black child did, and you saw the posters on the wall, you would see different designs in every square. You would probably, have the regular cut. You might have the low cut. You have a fade. You have the parts. And then there was so many different parts. The most basic part, of course, to get was the little line that went back. But some lines went into designs. And then it just escalated and elevated from there. Nowadays, everyone's getting real creative with it. But to sit here and say that this guy right here, who is Mexican, created this style is blaspheming. That's why a lot of people say we got to gatekeep our stuff, because what happens is if you don't, stuff like this will happen. And then years down the line, when they ask who came up with it, they're going to probably look back at to a person like this. Again, this is not taking away this guy's talent or his barbering skills, because I always say barbering is more than just cutting hair. It is an art form. It is a craft. Just like when a woman does hair, it's not just her doing someone's hair or putting braids or putting a weave or whatever into a woman's head. It's an art form. To me, it's a craft, because it takes a lot to go into doing something like that. As a matter of fact, as a person who is one of the female clients of the woman who does my hair, I can tell you that her doing my hair is way faster than doing any of her female clients, which is why when I go to her, I have the cheapest tab, I guess you can say, to pay. Everyone else, all the women, they got to pay $100. They're not paying less than $100. In some cases, they may not even be paying less than $150. Me, to get my hair done, no matter what kind of style it is that I get, like whether it's cornrows or maybe a 2-strand twist, which I have yet to get, but I plan to get, especially because my hair length is at a point where I can get it. I'm paying a base price of probably $60 something every visit. And I usually go to this person like once a month. Probably. What I do is I get my hair done, leave it in for a month, after that wash it, and let it do its thing, let it breathe for about 2 weeks, and then I'm back in the chair. That's pretty much the routine that I have. Now, when it comes to a woman, it's a little bit different, because it's a lot, it's more technical. Unless she's just getting something done with her regular natural hair. If she's getting something braided in or whatever, then that's something else. Then that's going to cost more, because you got to think that's time. That's more time consuming. But back to this, I just had to throw that in there right now. I feel like I'm preaching to the choir when it comes to the hair thing, because I know women definitely will attest to that. But this guy did not create this style. Let's be real here. And another thing that I saw in the comment section, and I'm so glad people brought it up. This style becomes trendy and cool when other people do it, but when we do it, it's seen as bad. And by bad, I mean, I've done stories on my channel where little black boys as young as the age of 5 have gotten suspended from school for having designs cut into their head and accused of them of being a part or affiliated with gangs. Because that's another thing. When it came to those parts and certain designs cut into black men's head, especially back in the 90s, some of them were gang affiliated. Like it'll let you know if you got this kind of a cut, that means you was affiliated with this gang or that gang. But guess what? Not every part in design meant a gang affiliation. Some people were not gang affiliated, but they just wanted to get a design cut into their head that had nothing to do with whatever gang that somebody else was a part of, but they automatically assumed that it was because that's what got hyped up in the media. Like I said, I've done so many stories about that. Of course, there's more stories leaning more towards the girls who catch the brunt end of it when it comes to the hair thing, but the boys catch it too. And it's mainly back to these designs. Like I said, whenever they do it, it's seen as trendy and progressive, and it's pushing things forward. When we do it, it's ugly, it's ghetto, it's ratchet. Remember when Rihanna had Bantu knots a few years ago? And they said that it was ghetto or something to that effect, but then Marc Jacobs decided he was going to put something into a white girl's hair, and it shit barely held because of the type of hair texture she had, and called them mini buns. And it was so trendy and so, fashion forward or whatever positive colloquialisms that they could come up with at the time. That's what we're really talking about when it comes to cultural appropriation. It's more than just another culture biting off of, and we'll use us as an example, since that's what we're talking about, is more than another group of people biting off of our culture and using it for their own. It's the fact that they're doing it, not giving credit to it, and then claiming it as their own, and then running with the narrative that they are the ones that invented it, even when they know in the back of their mind they were not the ones that created it. It makes you wonder, who taught him to cut hair? Who did he learn from? And who, let's say that he didn't learn from a black person, who did that person learn from? I keep telling you, black people, especially black Americans, FBA, are the trendsetters of the world in every facet. I can't even list all of them because there's just so many. We just are the cream of the crop. It just is what it is. Now, again, like I said, this is not to shit on this guy's craft. Again, cutting hair is a craft. It is an art form. It is not easy to do. Some people can't even do a basic haircut, let alone doing what he's doing. But at the end of the day, this guy right here that you see on your screen did not create this. And everybody who has left comments or retweeted on this has agreed and attested to the notion that this guy did not create this hairstyle. Can you say that it's nice? Can you say that it is very appealing? Yes, you can say that. It really is. But to go above and beyond and say that he created it, no. This, and they say he's been cutting hair for the last 20 years. This style or styles like this has been around longer than that. Like I said, back to the 80s when this was first really put out there. This is not new. And that's why I say you got to be very careful when you allow something like this to just pass, because before you know it, it's gone. And then it's in someone else's hand, and then everybody else's hand except ours, where it rightfully belongs. Granted, you can borrow, but borrowing and taking are two different things. Because borrowing means it's almost like a loan. You got to give it back or pay it back. To take means you're stealing, and you're not going without the intent of giving it back. And when you steal, now it's yours. And you can do with it what you want. All the way down to watering it down and bastardizing it. But that's all I really wanted to come on here and discuss. Y'all let me know what you think.